should the death of an elderly man murdered by his mentally ill grandson have been prevented. William Barnard fatally stabbed his grandfather, John McGrath, and seriously wounded his grandmother in 2009. An independent report has heavily criticised the care Mr Barnard was given by Nottinghamshire's mental health services. Our Midlands correspondent Darshna Soni has been speaking to Mr Barnard's mother, who is also, of course, his victim's daughter.
They'd been married for 60 years. John and Mabel McGrath were soulmates. But in 2009 they were viciously attacked in their own home by their own grandson. William Barnard suffered from a serious mental illness. He'd been sectioned before, but despite repeated warnings, health workers missed numerous opportunities to help him.
None of us blame William for what happened. We blame, the system, and we blame the care that, or the lack of care that he received.
William Barnard's family had watched helplessly as his mental health deteriorated. He'd always been close to his relatives, and in particular to his grandparents, who he visited here regularly. But in July 2009, he came to their home and stabbed his grandfather to death. He also knifed Mabel McGrath, his grandmother. Mrs McGrath has been left so severely traumatised that she has said in some ways she wishes she too had died in the attack.
It clearly identifies that John McGrath's death was avoidable.
Today, the family, including Mabel McGrath, listened to the findings of an independent report into the care that William Barnard should have received. In the months leading up to the attack, the family had contacted mental health workers 24 times, pleading for help.
They ignored family members, telling them that it was deteriorating.
Kathleen Barnard has to live with the pain of knowing that her son killed her father.
I mean, my dad probably twice a week he would be calling them to tell them that he'd got serious concerns.
As often as that?
As often as that. Even the day my dad died, he actually called the AO team and said he was really worried, and then obviously a couple of hours later my dad lost his life.
And what kind of response did your dad get when he rang?
I think they thought my dad was just a nuisance.
Nottinghamshire NHS Trust has been heavily criticised. The report lists a number of failings in Mr Barnard's care. He was first referred to mental health services in 2002. His symptoms included a belief that his father might try to kill him. Mr Barnard was sectioned 4 years later and treated in hospital for 6 months. But upon his release, his notes weren't fully completed, and his new outreach workers didn't make an effort to read his entire file, which contained numerous warnings. The report describes Nottinghamshire's mental health services as overstretched and under-resourced.
When his new outreach workers took over his case, they didn't read his past history. That seems astonishing to me.
I think the report is clear that the accessibility of all of those notes wasn't good.
Parts of the notes were missing, so that they didn't know, for example, that he slept with an axe under his bed or that he thought he might harm somebody. They're crucial pieces of evidence.
I don't think the report felt they were crucial pieces, and this is an independent report, and that was a significant history of 7 years prior to this.
The Trust says improvements have been made to mental health services, but Channel 4 News understands its budget has been cut by 5% this year, at a time when referrals have risen by 5%. Darshna Soni, Channel 4 News, Nottingham.